Yeah.
Good evening, mamas. This is Devin with Professional Home Educator, and we are going live into two groups tonight. We're going to homeschooling super moms and professional home educators. Susan's not here. She is I'm going to get rid of this banner because there. Now they can see who's here. And we are with Jacob Merkley. I don't know why I want to say Marley. I think that's because of is it Christmas Carol? Do you have that happen a lot? Is it Jacob Marley in
I,
Christmas
I
Carol?
get I get
It's
Markley
just me
most
that
often.
messes everything up. It's just me. That's me. I tell people all the time I'm a hot mess, but but anyway, he has a wonderful website. I told y'all about it earlier today, Story Tyke, and I invited him to come in, and we're going to talk to him. I'm hoping y'all will show up and y'all can ask questions. And uh, my friend Christina introduced Jacob to me. She is over Minimalist Homeschooling, which is a huge group on Facebook, and she has such great taste. And she goes, "Hey, you need to interview Jacob." And what was funny is I had seen her post about StoryType earlier in the week, and I had run over there and subscribed. It's a free subscription. If you have not seen the website, I told y'all to go look at it, but sometimes y'all don't listen to me. But it's really awesome. It's a really awesome service, and I'm really excited to be with you tonight, Jacob.
Hey, thanks, Devin. Appreciate it. Yeah, I guess a big shout out to Christina, right? I mean, for
Yeah,
setting this all up
she
for the
is
introduction.
a sweetheart.
I agree, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about StoryType. Tell us about you.
Yeah, I guess start with me. So I live out here in Phoenix. It's a chilly 70-degree weather right now, and we love this time of year. But born and raised out here in Phoenix, and my wife and I have two little ones. We're also expecting our third here in 5 weeks. So, my wife is in the final nesting phase, getting
Hmm.
excited and also, very tired. As some of you moms know, they've had multiple
Yeah.
kids. Our oldest little girl is 5, and our youngest girl is 2.5. So we're a busy household here, and we're getting ready to bring a little boy into the world, which is going to
Oh,
be a totally different thing for me. I don't
it's
know
so
what I'm going to
nice.
do with it. So,
You'll
but
enjoy.
oh yeah, it's gonna be a blast. It'll be great to have some more testosterone in the house. I'm looking forward to that. But you know, it, so career-wise, I started in accounting. I wanted to throw that out there. I'm kind of an introvert at heart, so getting on even on a live stream like this is somewhat intimidating. You intimidate me a little bit, Devin. Thanks for prompting me and inviting me to come on here.
I will tell you a secret. When I started about 2 years ago, every time I got on Saturday, because then we did everything on Saturday, I was sick every week. And then it got easier where I wasn't sick until I had to teach. And so even now, I still get a little when I'm in charge. It's different. It's easy to do interview because I'm not the one.
That's right, exactly. Well, I'd love to tell you about my story with Story
Yes,
Tyke.
tell us. I mean, it's just I think it's interesting.
Yeah, so before COVID, so I was in accounting, then I became a headhunter, and just a great way to get out of my introvert shell. And as you guys can imagine, the recruiting industry took a big tank
Yeah.
with this whole COVID thing. I know out here in Phoenix, right around March, April, everything started shutting down, and I went several months without any sales. I mean, it was basically, I'm 100% commission. I either stay in or, I get out. And gratefully, times had been good the last couple of years. The unemployment rate had been low. So my wife and I had been able to put quite a bit away in savings. And we just made a decision. I'm not making any sales. I don't know when it's going to recover, if it does, for the next little while. So I might as well hop out right now and pursue a couple of things that were passionate to me. But I didn't expect it to be Story Tyke. With all of this extra time at home because of the COVID thing this summer, I basically took over the bedtime routine duties. My
Mhm.
oldest is 5, youngest is 2.5, and my oldest loves books. She loves being read to. My youngest is becoming that way. In fact, right before we hopped on, she asked me to cuddle her on the couch and read books. So I have a chore to do after this. Not really a chore. I love doing this with them. But so this summer, I started a different company, and if for any of you that have started businesses before, it can be a grueling journey. And I just worked, a 13, 14-hour day. I'm grinding away, and for a while there, we could get along with just books. My oldest loved books, but then she started asking for a story. We all did that growing up. I listened to my dad's stories and my grandpa's stories. Right before bed, Corey would say, "Hey, Dad, will you tell me a story?" Right? That's what kids do. And for a while there, I could kind of get away with, a rotating group of stories. The Three Little Pigs, how my wife and I met. We met in an elevator. True story, actually. So it's kind of a fun story to tell. Just a couple, 4 or 5 stories that I would tell on a rotating basis. But then one night, again, had worked 14 hours that night, and she said, "No, I want a new story, Dad." And I hate to admit it, but it was very daunting. In the moment, I had just worked this long day. I was exhausted mentally, physically, emotionally, and coming up with something from scratch seemed daunting. And I just didn't have it in me to, I'm not a creative person to begin with. So coming up with something on scratch just really wasn't going to happen. So just like any other modern parent, I decided to hop on Google. I started searching around for bedtime stories, and there are thousands of bedtime stories. There are thousands of websites that have stories that you can go out and find. There's hundreds of apps. But what I found is that because there was so much out there, my decision making as far as picking a good one to share with Corey just wasn't going to happen. It took too long. I'd hop into a website, then I'd hop out, hop in, hop out, and install an app and then uninstall. And it took me about 30 minutes to find the right story that I wanted to tell her. And then I look over and she's sound asleep. And, poor girl, she'd waited so patiently for me. Because at the end of the day, our kids, they yearn for these bonding moments, right? They, as part of the daily routine, they want to bond with their parents. It's a natural thing. It's something that they yearn for, that they truly, need as part of their development from a social perspective, from an education perspective. And, for the last little while, she had started developing this yearning for daddy-daughter bonding time. And in that moment, I wasn't able to come through, and it crushed me. It kind of had a big impact that I had failed her to some degree. And so I started thinking about that experience. I started realizing, this was a painful experience, and I wish, given how busy I am, I'm a young professional with a young family. Time is crazy and very limited, especially when it comes to the evening routine with the kids. And so I started feeling like, what if instead of going and searching or creating a story from scratch, I could have a story delivered right to me. And it's not like this is what's the phrase? It's not like rocket science. There are stories out there, but in today's society, we have limited time. We're all running a million miles an hour right now.
Yeah.
Yet our kids need quality time.
Yeah, connection is important.
It is. It's so important for them. And so that's, Devin, that's really what hit it for me. I realized other parents have to have that problem too. And so I started searching around for a service that would deliver a story right to my inbox so that I didn't have to search and I didn't have to create from scratch. But there's nothing out there. There wasn't. So I have, like I said, an accounting background. I've been in sales. I've done marketing. I've built websites before. And so I thought, why not go build this thing and allow other parents to start having an easier bedtime storytelling experience. So that's really kind of the start of our journey.
And they're the coolest stories.
World. So you've loved them.
Yeah, we've loved them. I've read them,
Awesome.
not every night, but because that's the good thing. They're still
Yeah.
in my inbox. I can grab them later, but we have little talking points in there, and so it's really nice, and it makes that connection, because that's one thing as a homeschool consultant is I tell parents all the time that when you start homeschooling, the first thing you want to go after is that connection, because usually if there, especially if there's problems or there's been bullying, or you've got to work on that connection, because it's going to make the homeschool journey so much simpler. And
Yeah,
so I just,
absolutely.
we've enjoyed them.
That's awesome. At first my intention was enhancing bonding time, right? I mean, my angle really was parent to child bonding, and increasing that in a world where it is diminishing. But I realized there are several homeschool families that my wife and I are connected with, and my wife Josie, who's a part of Christina's group and several other homeschool groups. We are contemplating homeschooling Corey when she is ready to next year.
Yeah.
And I started realizing that there are a lot of educational development components with storytelling. I
Yeah.
did a lot of research. I found a ton of studies that have been conducted over the years, and storytelling without images, specifically without images, have a ton of benefits. They really it improves literacy skills, vocabulary, memory recall. Especially in the world that we live in, where all of our kids are. We live in this digital world. Screen time is very real, and kids can't remember as well as we potentially did and our grandparents did. And so training even memory, and without images, they have to remember characters and the plot and all of that. I mean, there's just some amazing benefits to add into the routine, in addition to book reading. My kids love books, but we add this on top of it, and they love it.
Yeah, and it's a good, and mamas, historically, humans are storytellers. I mean, we would gather around the fire in the winter and we'd tell stories, and it's
Yeah.
just good for us, because then our imagination grows and we can picture things, and it's just, I enjoy it. My kids enjoy it. They like having, now that my big ones, I had one of them say the other day how much they liked reading Harry Potter because there was no pictures, and how they didn't like the movies because it didn't look like the pictures in their head. So,
That's a good imagination.
yeah, it's a good thing. So
It
imagination.
is a good thing. It's imagining is so healthy for kids to develop, and I feel like that is diminishing in today's world. That because of the screen, because it's right in their face, and images and visuals, and they don't have a chance just to sit and listen and imagine anymore.
That's an amazing skill. It's an amazing gift. So, mamas, he has a website. You go on, you subscribe. It's free. You said you had writers that you had
Yeah,
even
we do. Yeah,
writers.
we have several writers. I think we're up to 5. And then I have a partner as well, because like I said, I'm not the creative guy here, but one of my friends is very creative, and so she's on the journey with us. And so her, along with, I think we have 5 writers now, so we have a lot of variety. We want to keep it interesting for the readers, because the reality is not, it would be a false premise for us to believe that every story will be loved by every parent and every child. So what we're really trying to do is create lots of variety to make sure that everyone has interest, and over the course of the week and the month that they have several stories that they've really loved. But these writers, they are all professional writers. 4 out of those 5 are actually critically acclaimed children's authors. So they have children's books that have been published. So it's a really great team, and really, really fun stories, engaging stories for parents to tell their kids.
That is great. Now, mamas, if y'all have questions, you can ask questions. I can read them out to him. You had somebody say congratulations about the baby.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
We
Thank you
love
very much.
babies. We have 5, and
Awesome.
we like babies at our house. My 5-year-old is my youngest. She was a surprise baby, but we like them in our house. So one of my friends just had babies, and I'm like, they're so little and cute. Yes, here, I will post the link. Here, let's see. There is the link, so you can find it. And we have enjoyed them in our house. We started it. I thought it's been about a month, and
Okay.
about a couple of times a week we'll read a story. Cause yeah, Lisi's at that age where they want made up stories, and I remember my sister and my cousins doing the same thing when they were little. Because I was a much older cousin, they would want made up stories. So yeah, I remember being a tired working. One of my cousins would spend the night with us, and I was in my late 20s. And I remember being very tired after work and trying to come up with a story because she wanted a made up story. That's a fun thing. I think every young parent has gone through that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you said that you read a couple times a week. We have
Mm.
found that most parents are not, they're not telling stories every single night,
Yeah.
although that is an option. And I know for
Mhm.
my oldest daughter, she definitely wants one every single night. She does not let me off the hook until she's gotten her tyke story. But we do have lots of parents who are receiving them throughout the week in their inbox, and because it's in the inbox, there a lot of them are filtering into a special folder, and then they
Mhm.
always have them forever, and then they're doing a massive reading one time a week.
Yeah.
Again, the original intent was adding it onto the bedtime routine, but every family's unique, and by
Yeah.
providing just great content and then being able to kind of plan along with your own schedule, it works really well. But I've noticed, as I've talked to homeschoolers, a lot of them are still doing this at bedtime, but I think it's also a great add-on to the curriculum during the day. You
Yeah, it
know,
is during the day, and morning baskets are very popular. And
Absolutely. So just to be clear, like our stories are going to come to you in the evenings, but that doesn't mean you have to read them
yeah,
in
you
the
can do
evening.
it. Let's see. One of them said, "Thank you." So you said the stories are in your inbox. Is it a printable story? So can they print out like an email? You'd print it out like an email letter. Usually you have your email box will have an option
Yep,
that gives you a printable email, and you can print it out.
correct. Yeah. So as far as printing out is fine. Obviously, we have the copyright, so distributing it is a little dicey. But as far as printing it out for your own benefit is great. I mean, that was the whole design, was removing the need to go find it. We didn't want people to have to go find it, and we've had people tell us, well, maybe you should build your own app, and that may be a future perspective, a future aspect of Story
And
Tyke,
that would
but
be awesome.
which would be awesome. However, we don't want people to have to search. So even if we create an
Yeah.
app, we've kind of come up with a few ideas to where once you show up in the app, the story for that day or for that genre is given to you, so that you're not having to search. But at least with your email, we're all using our inbox, our
Yeah.
email app every day anyways. And
Mhm.
so it'll be delivered right to you. You can find it, read it
Yeah.
directly. It is designed, the actual story newsletter is designed that you can read it directly from your phone, or you can print it off. My oldest daughter loves we do have one picture in there. It's called our cover art image, just to
Yeah.
kind of get the creativity flowing, get them imagining. And my daughter always asks to see that image on the phone, but she loves when I'm telling it to her. And my
Mhm.
only advice when you go sign up is, if you are going to read from your phone or even from the page, make sure that you're still interacting, right? You can be reading and telling, but then you're still interacting. And we've made that easy through our type time questions that you kind of hinted at earlier. There are questions spread
There are
throughout the
questions
stories
like
to kind of
discussion
get
questions.
discussion going.
Yeah, I like having those because then, in case you're tired, like I can be sometimes, then you have let me ask something, you can have a, discussion about the story, and it's not just the story. So I really enjoyed that.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
I'm going to fix my camera because I just can't, my face is being cut off and I just can't stand it. Okay. So, I'm a mama. I'm a girl. So, okay. Anybody else got questions? I mean, it's a no brainer. It's free. You comes into your email. you can find it. I mean, I've done about 2 or 3 a week, depending on what's going on. Of course, y'all know we've had COVID, so on the good days. But Lacey's enjoyed them. They've been nice little stories. Some of them I've had giggles over. I think what one was this week that had 3 princes with peas in their shoes,
Yep.
and it really made me giggle. I was like, oh my gosh, those poor guys.
Yeah, that's the 3 princes and 3 peas. So
Yeah,
some of our stories, we have a couple of different varieties of stories that we're adding in there, and one of them are traditional twists. You know, the 3 little pigs have a party. You know, we have some traditional twist stories. We have some original stories, and then we also have the customized stories. Have you read some of the customized ones, Devin?
No, I don't think I've seen those. So, I mean, like I said, we had COVID, but I'm
Yeah.
to pay attention to that.
We've added in customized tales, is what we're calling them, where you get to insert the child's name and their sibling or a friend to make it a little bit more interesting. You know, I'm thinking of one. It was called the Hungry Sandwich, and you know, super fun because it just makes it a little bit more engaging with the kids using their name and really getting them to imagine that they're part of the story.
So what are the age ranges? Do they go up for older kids, like almost like chapter books? I mean, I don't think you have like a chapter book. You have had some series. I have noticed that.
So when we first got started this last year, we went through a whole beta test group. We had 70 parents that tested our initial product. As you can imagine, they had a lot of feedback, good feedback and constructive feedback that we then iterated off of and launched with. We've since iterated again. One thing that we've learned, we initially had chapter stories. You know, 2 out of the 4 initial days that we launched with were chapter series. In our mind, we were thinking, let's run this like a Netflix show. You know, once a week, we would have the same character for 4 to 6 weeks. And that was the initial, that was the second round of the product. And we got a lot of good feedback that it just was not working for the age group. So the age group that we had initially targeted was 4 to 8-year-olds. With our stories really written for that, like right in the middle, the 6-year-old range. 8-year-olds are still interested, but 4-year-olds are also being brought up into the vocabulary, which is really good for their development. But so we, you know, 4 to 8-year-olds are more often interested in getting a story, we found. But those 4 to 8-year-olds also are struggling to comprehend the extra chapters. And so I'm actually really excited. That's one thing that we have taken out, but that later this year, we're hoping to launch a secondary newsletter, a secondary product or service, if you will, really geared towards the 8 to 11-year-old group.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because right around that 8 mark, they start even in school, you know, right around 3rd grade. I would imagine homeschoolers are probably a little bit, you know, forward faster than that. But, you know, even just for families that are around that 3rd grade, they start introducing chapters, starting to remember characters and the plot past just one chapter. So we'd like to expand that. But then by the time they hit 11, 12, 13, they're all reading Harry Potter. They're reading, you know, Hunger Games. And so, you know, it's at that point, I think most of them will not be interested in hearing a story from mom and dad. But that is something that we will try and be pushing out later this year, probably in the 3rd or 4th quarter, as a whole different, you know, whole different thing for an older group.
That will be great, because I have that older group.
Oh yeah.
I've got that group. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you know, we've been getting a ton of feedback. You know, we've tried to keep a good, tight customer feedback loop, especially given that we're really in the infancy of this product. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have changed to some degree in the next couple months again, because we're always trying to improve this based on our customer feedback. But we kept getting people saying, hey, the chapters aren't working. But then we'd dig deeper and we'd find out that they were the older group. They'd have, you know, it was really, you know, families that have kids, 8, 6, 4, and 2. It's the 8 to 10-year-old that's saying, "Hey, I'm not interested in this." So
Yeah,
we want to create something that's different that they can still benefit from later on.
that's awesome. I love that. So you've got that coming up. And maybe an app. I just think it's exciting. Mamas are on. We have, let's see, great idea. Reading is so important for all ages. All kids grow up to expand. To expand would be nice. So lots of positive feedback.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
great.
So they can sign up. Will you let us know when you need some more test groups? Will you let us know?
Absolutely. Of
Awesome.
course. Yeah, it's really easy. Storytyke.com. There's you click one button and you put in your first name and your email. It's non-intrusive, and you'll get an introduction email once you confirm your subscription. Given that our service is email-based, we do ask people to fully opt in. That double opt-in step
Yeah.
helps us to make sure that we keep our list clean, and that way all the parents on the service can still get their emails, their stories.
Yeah.
But in that introduction email, you'll actually get an initial story from us. So right now we are currently sending out stories on school nights or week nights, so Sunday night through Thursday night. And so like right now, if you go sign up, you actually won't get your first story until Sunday. And so we have an extra story in there that you can get started and have a fun. In fact, I think it is the Hungry Hungry Sandwich story. So you'll get that first. But then the next story would come on Sunday and kind of keep in with the routine.
Yeah, I love that, the idea of putting the kid's name in there, because I have an odd name. Never, I have an odd name, and most of my kids have an odd name. So
That's great.
let's see. I'm reading Escape from Mr. Limoncello's Library to my 12-year-old grandson. Short attention span. Chapter books are good. So yeah. They're going to have that coming up in the I guess probably about, third quarter will be just about fall, the end of summer.
Yeah, hopefully we can launch it sooner, but right now we're focusing on this core product and then expanding.
That will be exciting. Okay, any more questions? Any more comments? I think it's awesome. I think it's a good thing that y'all need to sign up for. I think I'm probably going to, this will be on the YouTube channel tomorrow, and I'll send you the link. You can share it anywhere you want. And I think once you get the app, I just started a new where I'm talking about apps. I love apps. That's me. I'm an app girl. No more questions, they said. No?
No, that's awesome.
I think it's very, very an awesome service that y'all need to go sign and support Jacob and all their endeavors. Free, you don't always find free, and it's some good quality stories, and it's great to have something new. You can have your books in your morning basket, you can have your story at night, and I enjoy having something where that can expand Elisia's imagination, because children do get apps and videos. We're very much a video world now. And I have found, for me as a homeschool mom, the difference between teaching my first 4 and Lisi, who is, been here, apps were before she was even born, and videos and YouTube was before she was born. I'm like, it is a very different experience. And I'm having to purposely make sure that her imagination is being engaged. So I think it's a very good addition to a homeschool library.
I love that.
That's my take on this, Mama. It's a very good addition, and you will enjoy it. But thank you so much for coming with us tonight, Jacob.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. That's awesome. Thank you. If I can throw one other thing out there, yes. We made the executive decision this last week to start having more educational content in there as well.
Awesome.
So that's something that I wanted to throw out. I know homeschool parents will have.
We love that.
They'll love that. We're writing. We just published a couple of stories to kind of test it out. Sammy the salmon. We basically take on, Sammy's role as she goes from the Pacific Ocean back up to where she was born, and why salmon do that. So we're trying to take more science, nature, animal experiences,
That is
and
very
then tying it into a fun experience as well. So we'll have more of that here in the near future as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is very big on Lisi's her desire. This morning she woke up and we were going to start off with being sea turtles, and then about 30 minutes later she goes, "Okay, now we're dolphins." So that was my morning, people.
That's awesome.
She's very big into sea animals right now. So yeah, she'll love that. I can't wait to see that.
Awesome. Very good.
Okay, mamas, if y'all don't have questions, then we're gonna wrap it up because y'all got quiet on me. No questions? I'm sure if you ever have ideas, Jacob is great with you sending him an email. He is actually
Absolutely.
in our group, so he can go through the comments and answer questions if you have questions later. So he is actually here. He's usually I say he's one of our mamas. No, he's one of our papas. We're very glad he's here.
I love
And
it.
so he is in the group, and you can ask questions later. If you watch this later, you can tag him. He'll show up in the thread, and I know we'll be glad to answer questions.
Absolutely. Happy to do so.
Well, thank you guys. We'll see y'all later.
Thanks, Devin. Thanks, everyone.